Hello, hello, and welcome to another exciting episode of Skeptics and Seekers Sunday Sermon. This is your host, David Johnson. So let's go ahead and get started. First of all, happy holidays, everybody. Happy holidays. So whatever you celebrate this year, if you celebrate nothing, happy holidays to you and a joyous celebration. Yeah, we're not one of those podcasts that takes a holiday break. Not like that. I do take a break, but not for that reason. And so as a podcast listener, I've got a handful of favorite shows, and it really galls me when they take a break, for Christmas. And they either have no show or they have some best of show, which I don't listen to because I've listened to the podcast. I'm a faithful listener. I know what I know what happened this year. So I hate that. And so, some of you who are at home a lot or running errands and maybe have even more time to listen to podcasts than you normally do, it can be frustrating for you to not have a podcast to listen to. So I want to provide at least some bit of listening for your listening pleasure this holiday. This will not be a long podcast. I don't think it will. But it is a podcast. It's my Christmas special. So Skeptics and Seekers Sunday Sermon is 4S, but maybe this is 6S today. Skeptics and Seekers Sunday Sermon season special. Yeah. Okay, I know I've gone off the rail with the S's. So before I get into my show, there is a write-up on the board by the time you hear this. Hopefully I put the edited version on the board so that you don't see the unedited version. The last write-up I did, I carefully edited everything and somehow put the unedited version on the board. Brian with a Y, that was not your fault. That was on me. So apologize for anyone trying to read through that. So I'll try to do better and do the make sure the edited version goes on the board. I want to tell you a little story about something that happened at work before I jump into my topic. Last year, so on our Christmas party day, it's that day of work that we come to work. No one does any work. So it's Christmas music and dancing and doing whatever the heck you feel like. And then there's the Secret Santa gifts, and then they give the Christmas bonuses, which is nice. It's weird. It's weird. I will say this. The director got up and he said, look, we're going to find a way to keep giving out these bonuses, and thank you, because they're nice. But we can't call them Christmas bonuses because we're a state agency. So we call them production incentives or something like that. We can't do that. And yet, for the Christmas party, there was prayer and testimonial and, went out into a full-on devotional service for a little bit. They can do that, but they can't give you a Christmas bonus. So I found that all humorous. At any rate, last year, during our Christmas party, I was working in an area where there wasn't anyone else. I wasn't in my office yet at the time. I was in the call center, and I didn't have to work, but I don't like people, and so I hung out in the call center and ate snacks. And at some point, I went out and passed out some candy in some bucket that somebody had given me. And I thought, I'm not going to get all this candy, but let me just pass it out. And also in my area, I was blasting Hanukkah music because everywhere else they were blasting Christmas music. And I play Christmas music. There's some of it that I like. jazzy Christmas music I kind of like. But in college, we did a lot of music from different cultures, and I really enjoyed our Jewish music that we did. That was fantastic. Kind of fell in love with some of the Jewish music and the holiday Jewish music, and so I play that from time to time. And so I was playing that last year, and I may have gone around and told people Happy Hanukkah as I passed out my bucket. um, yeah, I'm that kind of guy. Um, so anyway, this year, one of the people who works there, he does maintenance there, which is a really important job at that place. Um, he he thought I was Jewish. He's a Christian, but he's a really good guy. Really good guy. He just went through a personal tragedy, unspeakable. Um, just the best of guys, and he and I have formed a bit of a friendship. And so I was in my office for at least the first part of the Christmas festivities this year, and he came in, and he kind of sheepishly, but very sincerely, he wanted to get it right, and he wished me a happy Hanukkah. And he was saying he thought he remembered that I was Jewish, and he just wanted to make sure that I felt included. A week or so ago, I wrote an article, and I included the line, "I've never met a Christian who has gone out of their way to wish someone a happy Hanukkah or a happy Kwanzaa or anything representing some other holiday besides Christians, because they don't give a damn about anyone else's holidays." But this guy, just a couple of days ago, broke the mold. Now, of course, we talked. I told him, no, I'm not actually Jewish. I just like the Jewish music. um, and we had a good laugh and a good talk about that. But he did the thing. He did the thing. I'm not going to call his name, but Mazel Tov. I wish more Christians were like him. So now the happy Christmas part of this podcast has come to an end. My write-up is called "Why I Hate Santa." I know this is a bit incendiary, and I always have a little bit of a polemic, adjust my microphone a little bit of a polemic during the holiday season. I know that. I get that. And so this is in that vein, but it's probably not what you think, unless you're thinking what I'm thinking, in which case it is what you think. But um, the title is a little bit more incendiary than I maybe wanted it to be, but I started writing, and I always start with a title. And if I care to go back and retitle it, I would probably title it something slightly less incendiary. I'm not going to sit here and read you the article. I will leave you the joys of doing that yourself. 2011 words. So a short one for me. And I'm just going to go through some of the highlights. My history with Christmas, it's a little bit weird. In the Churches of Christ, I'm trying to ignore my dog who's trying to climb me while I do this podcast, and he's licking body parts. Very distracting. Okay, buddy. Okay. Yeah, I need you to get out and go over there. Really, just lay down. Lay down. Don't eat my shoes. All right. Sorry about that. Um, so in the church that I grew up in, um, the fairly conservative Churches of Christ, Black Churches of Christ, I have to uh, mention that too because they're a little bit different from the white Churches of Christ, a little bit. And I had the opportunity to go to both uh, fairly equally. But a lot of the Churches of Christ, at least at the time, it may not be as much today, uh, had this idea that it was a sin to celebrate Christmas. If you've ever met any Jehovah's Witnesses, uh, it's that sort of thing. Now, the Churches of Christ are nothing like the Jehovah's Witnesses, but we share kind of that similarity, at least certain branches of the Churches of Christ do. So I kind of was in one of those branches, where we didn't celebrate the religious holidays. Christmas wasn't Jesus' birthday, it's a secular holiday, blah, blah, blah. All right. Uh, so, I had a kind of some mixed emotions about Christmas because I actually liked Christmas. And truth be told, everybody in the church liked Christmas too. So it was kind of a weird talking point because at the end of the day, everybody celebrated Christmas. We just reframed it differently. Oh no, we're not celebrating Christmas. We're not celebrating, any kind of religious holiday, Jesus' birthday kind of thing. It's just more of a secular winter holiday celebration. So don't worry about it. But we're not celebrating Christmas. Christmas is evil. Uh, Look, don't just go with it, okay? Don't try to dissect it. But this is part of the complexity uh, about the holiday that I grew up with, and the fact that we had theological reasons why the religious part of the holiday was sin really doesn't have anything to do with why I hate Santa. At least I don't think that it does, but it's probably a factor that you should know about as I go through this. If you want to pick at it in the comments, you can, but it's not really a line of questioning that's going to provide anything for you, except for maybe a little bit of my weird upbringing. But that said, I have always had a hate-hate relationship with Santa Claus. Even though I liked lots of things about the holiday, the festivities and the presents, obviously, and the lights, decorations, some of the music, I liked Christmas and all of the trappings, but I did not like Santa. There were issues. You've got to remember it from the time of 7. I was baptized at 7, but it wasn't one of those oh, we're gonna put the kid in the water kind of thing. I was really serious about my faith. It's kind of really hard to express that because you look at most 7-year-olds and that's not where they are. But that's where I was. So you just kind of have to take me at my word on that. And I saw a lot of theological problems and other problems with this Santa Claus character, and I just thought I would share some of those with you. So I'll try to go through some of these real fast. In fact, I will start with one just as to reward those who are listening to the audio version of this and not just reading the article and calling it a day. This is one that I didn't put in the article, but it was a big one later in my life. So this is not one that was a problem early in my life. Later in my life, in my Christian walk, it was a problem. So Santa Claus requires faith. Faith. It's a faith-based thing, this Santa. Now, my religion was faith-based, and that's why when I was a kid and a young adult, it wasn't as much of a problem, but even then, it kind of was a little bit of um, a cognitive dissonance thing for me because Jesus required faith. God required faith. Um, Faith cometh by hearing, and hearing by the word of God. Faith, without faith, it is impossible to please Him. Um, that sort of thing. Faith, the substance of things hoped for, the essence of things unseen. Um, that sort of thing. You get the idea. Better is he who believes without seeing than he who believes because of seeing. That sort of thing. We could go on like this for a while. So um, that's your Christian faith. And no matter how much you study, some things about Christianity, a lot of things about Christianity, almost everything about Christianity must be taken on the basis of faith. The most important parts of it must be taken on the basis of faith. Okay, I was on board with that then. But then you got this Santa guy, and he's saying that he must be accepted on the basis of faith. So let's talk about the tweeners for just a second. Tweeners, I think we tend to think of tweeners as between 10 and 12, the ages between your small childhood years and your teenage years. And that's also about the time when kids really start to doubt Santa Claus and start dropping that faith. So there are parts of the Santa Claus story aimed at those people. In fact, one of my favorite Christmas movies is Polar Express. I kind of love it. I loved it the first time I saw it. I watch it every year. Haven't watched it this year yet, but I'm going to. Um, I think it's a well-told story. But the main theme of the story I actually hate. It's just a good movie and a good story. And the theme is, like a lot of Christmas tradition, when you start reaching that age of doubt, that's where some good stories can be told to get you to believe again. And Polar Express is one of those movies. And the whole point is to get this kid to re-up his faith in Santa Claus. And it just this aspect of the story just kind of makes you think, okay, why shouldn't we believe in Santa Claus? If belief in Santa Claus is on the same basis as belief in Jesus God, then we should also believe in Santa Claus, because that's a part of the mythos. And if you've ever believed in Santa Claus and you find yourself losing your faith, why shouldn't you do things to rekindle your faith? Because once again, it's the same thing with your faith in Jesus. And so I kind of resented this idea that here comes another creature, except this one isn't real, Santa, but we're teaching kids to believe in Santa on the basis of faith. And we give some flimsy evidences. You see, you got that present under the tree. You see here all of Santa's little helpers in the shopping malls. You see on the news, they're giving out they're giving out updates of sightings of Santa and his reindeer. Right? So you've got some evidences. You're being given evidences as a kid. But if those evidences aren't enough, faith. Except when you know that Santa is not real, like I did from the beginning, When you know that Santa is not real and you see this whole framework of people presenting evidences and trying to push this idea on the basis of faith, it makes you a little bit uneasy if you have this other thing that, where there's some kind of thin evidences, but mostly it's pushed on the basis of faith. And you think, but mine is right and that one is wrong. But why? And the only answer you can give that I could give as a kid, well, it's wrong because Santa is bullshit. I wouldn't have used that term as a kid, but I mean, that would have been what it comes down to. I believe in God because God is real, and I don't believe in Santa because he's bullshit. And I don't think that you should be trying to get kids to have faith in bullshit. so, so that was uneasy, and I found, Santa, that aspect of the Santa story, is one of the reasons why I found myself disliking Santa, which leads into the second reason. It's a lie. It's a lie. Santa is a lie. Okay? It's the most obvious reason of all. And for a kid who takes his faith seriously and who's working through some of the ideas and issues that were important to us, lying is one of them. One of the 7 things that God hates is a lying tongue. Did you know that all liars, they're called out specifically, all liars, this wasn't said about fornicators, all fornicators, no, all liars will have their part in the lake that burns with fire and brimstone. That was someone who really hated the idea of lying, hated it real hard. That's Bible, by the way. When you tell kids that Santa is real, and you try to convince them that Santa is real, it's a lie. Now, if we try to convince kids, I mean, if we had a serious attempt to try to convince kids that Cthulhu is real, Christians would lose their shit. How dare you try to convince my kids that some other God is real? You should die. If they were Old Testament Christians, that's exactly what they would say. So we wouldn't tolerate this for some other god. Ganesh is real, and there's this push for we wouldn't tolerate it. Get that crap out of the schools. We wouldn't tolerate it. That's not real. We don't mind telling little Indian kids, and by Indian I mean kids from India, who come to our school, that their gods are false, that their holiday stuff is false. It's not real. But our kids, we engage in this lie. Santa Claus is real. Here are the proofs. Take it on faith. It's real. But it's a lie. And now I understand mostly the social conventions behind this lie, although I would like to talk about it. So if you want to talk to me about that in the comments, great. I hated the idea of Santa Claus almost from the beginning, from the moment that I realized, wait a minute, this is not real. Why are you looking me in the eye and lying to me about this thing? Is what I thought almost all the time when I was a kid. Do you think I'm stupid? What are you doing? I know where my presents come from. Okay? I was with my mother when she put certain things on layaway. I know. I know. I understand the correlation between our budget, which was low, and the kinds of gifts that I could get. Okay? I know. Maybe I was a weird kid, but like I said, almost from the beginning, it was pretty obvious to me that they're trying to pull one over on me. So it's a lie, and I don't really understand fully the justification for how Christians can engage in it. And it's a lie that you don't need. It's just unnecessary as far as I'm concerned. I won't say any more about that. Again, hit me in the comments, and we can talk about the but it's a lie aspect. When you are a young Christian and you are being taught all the time about lying, that you can never do it, when the Bible says all liars will have their part in the lake of fire, little white liars are a part of that too. And so the whole thing was finding a way to tell the truth with love. That was kind of our expression, telling the truth with love. And yet, we were full of lies. We told little white lies all the time, just like everybody else, because it's a part of social convention, and you absolutely have to get through society. I didn't understand that as a kid, but it's just true. But if you're one of those kinds of Christians who says, no, you never have to lie, lying is not the kind of thing that's acceptable, then you got to tell me why it's okay to perpetuate this Santa lie. I don't think you can do it. I certainly couldn't. The third reason, manipulative. Okay, so adults are always trying to manipulate kids, right? They're trying to do whatever it takes to get kids to do what they want. And it's fairly easy to manipulate kids and get them to do what you want compared to adults. All you have to do is make up some bullshit because kids believe everything that adults tell them. And so you can manipulate them fairly easy. I mean, some kids are difficult, but parents manipulate their kids all the time. Teachers manipulate kids all the time. You know, possibly TV shows that are aimed at kids manipulate kids all the time. Advertisers manipulate kids all the time. Santa, this lie of Santa, its primary task, I think, is to manipulate kids. He knows when you're sleeping, right? Not just when you're in bed. He knows when you're sleeping. He knows when you're awake. He knows when you've been bad or good. There it is. You see, this Santa guy, he's an all-seeing eye. He knows what you're doing. You can't get away with anything. And if you've been bad, then you're going to get the punishment of what happens when you get bad. It's always pretty vague with Santa, what's going to happen when you're bad, but you better watch out. Yeah, you better watch out. That Santa guy, or is it Krampus? Something's going to happen, and it's probably more than the fact that you're not going to get the present you want. You're on the naughty list, buddy. And you know what happens to naughty listers, right? Oh, you don't? Well, just imagine it, because that's what's coming for you. And then the line, so be good for goodness sake, is just a non sequitur here, because it just laid out the reasons for you to be good to get your presents. So don't then come back and say be good for the sake of goodness. You're not making a case for being good for the sake of goodness. This is purely manipulative. And the thing about manipulation is once a person realizes that you're just trying to manipulate them, you're done. Their credibility is done. Um, you can be polite to them, you can be nice to them, but you probably shouldn't do business with them. You shouldn't trust them. I had trust issues as a kid. Now, I had other reasons for having trust issues as a kid, and that is a topic for, some other podcast. But I did have some trust issues as a kid, and it wasn't entirely for this, but this played along with it. It played a part of it because adults would come up to you and lie to your face, especially if they thought that you had some doubts about the Santa thing. And some of the adults took it so personally. It was like, oh no, I gotta win this one for Santa. They would go all out in that rather than just saying, okay, you're right, you got it. So, um, you're just gonna sit there and lie to me. I can't tell you what I really think, but I don't trust you. I'm never going to trust you for anything. Okay. So, because the Santa thing, it was used as kind of a bludgeon. It's like the boogeyman. If you're not good, the boogeyman's gonna get you. We create monsters to try to scare kids into doing the right thing, scare them straight. We've been doing this probably ever since there've been humans. And it's just bad. Santa is just part of that tradition. All right. That was the third reason. The fourth reason, Santa, too much like God. Now remember, I was a kid who was earnest about my religion. And I grew more earnest as I grew up. And it did not escape my attention, even when I was young, that Santa Claus shared a lot of DNA with the God I believe in. He can just dismiss space and time at a whim and be at this house and that house over there, cover every house, at least every house with a chimney, cover every house in one night. I mean, this Santa, he can do the equivalent of answer prayers. That's a big one. He has the power to reward and punish. He's very much like God. He can talk to animals. He can fly, If he's not the God of the Bible, he's some kind of God. He's something that we would consider a God. Just based on the powers that he has, the powers that we're asking kids to believe in. I don't think that's an accident. I think it's intentional to try to get kids to believe in beings with this kind of power. To make it normal. Why is answering prayers somehow abnormal? That's a part of the whole Santa Claus mythos. Send a letter to Santa that, there's no address. The post office, they know where to bring it. He knows exactly what you need at any given time, and so he gives you exactly what you need, even if it's not exactly what you ask for. So, just a quick question. Where does Santa get his powers? I asked this question when I was a kid. Always somewhat amused by the answers that I got. They were all bad. But maybe you can give it a try. Santa Claus, if you are one of these people who's trying to perpetuate this idea of Santa Claus and some kid asks you, hey, where does Santa get his powers? What are you going to say? I don't think you have an answer. And if you do, it's bad. We can talk about some of that in the comments. I will spare that for the comments in the write-up. So I talk a little bit about that, but I didn't consider Santa um, I didn't consider Santa as a good guy. I mean, the only other creatures we think of that have the kind of power that Santa would have would maybe be the devil. And I think most adults would say, no, even the devil doesn't have that kind of juice. So, um, but Santa is definitely not God. So if you believe that there are only two powered beings in the universe, he's got to be the devil. He's got to be either from God or from the devil, or either God or the devil. There are no other options in this metaphysical power duopoly. So where does that leave Santa? Well, as a kid, that left him in a pretty bad place as far as I was concerned. Where does he get his powers? And the only answer I think that a Christian could try to give to perpetuate this story is, well, Santa, he's actually an angel. He works for God. Because I think it's a little bit weird to say he's a human that God gave superpowers to. That's just kind of weird. I don't think Santa can be human any more than elves are human. He's sometimes called the jolly old elf. So I don't buy the humanness of Santa. He's got magic. You got to explain the magic somehow. So I think some kind of angel may be the best answer that you could give. But then again, one wonders, if that's the case, how come uh, none of the people who wrote the Bible knew about it? Like, nobody, nobody knew about this angel. Well, maybe he got his commission, after the Bible was written. And I just think that as you start multiplying these excuses, they just get thinner and thinner and thinner. So that's what we got. I did not see Santa as someone who was helping God, as if God needed help. I mean, if God wanted to reward little boys and girls, he already was doing that. And if he wanted to give them presents, he was already doing that too. So I didn't see Santa as a helper to God. I saw him as a rival. You got the God and you got the Santa. But you can't have them both. You can't have both the nativity scene and the Santa Claus and the Christmas tree. You gotta pick one, because no matter how hard you try to smash these stories together, theologically speaking, metaphysically speaking, it doesn't work. And it damages both parts of the story. Okay, I think that was reason number 4. Reason number 5, Santa is us. And I will just combine that with my conclusion. We don't need Santa. So we could put that all together. We don't need Santa because Santa is us. Now, I didn't grow up, in a church that did a lot of work with charities and things like that, but I did get involved with churches that did a lot of things with charity. And so I did have the opportunity to do some things with companies like Toys for Tots, organizations, I should say. Greater Birmingham Ministries is a great ministry in Birmingham, Alabama, and I was fortunate enough to know people who were closely associated with that, and I got a chance to do things with that crew. The various travels I've had in the country, I've had some opportunities to be involved with some charities, and what I came to realize, growing up as a young adult, was not only is Santa a lie and all of the things I hate about him, but I'm expected now to perpetuate the lie. For the cohesion of society, If you don't do it, you're going to tear down society. You're going to ruin Christmas for lots of little boys and girls. You're going to ruin their lives. You have to perpetuate this lie. I was always uneasy about that idea. And then as an adult, you realize something else. Not just that you have to be a part of the cabal, but you have to be the Santa. And when you're involved with the kinds of charities that work directly with kids, this point really is driven home to you. If you just watch TV, though, over the holidays and you see some celebrity trying to tighten the screws on you and put on the guilt trip of, if you don't send this donation, these kids are not going to have any presents this year. There's not going to be a Christmas. Right. Okay. Why is that message coming to you? Because you're the Santa. All right. We adults, we know there's no Santa, but we still have to carry on this idea. Now, that's typically the job of parents, to carry on that idea. But these orphan kids, these kids who don't have the good fortune to have parents that have jobs and that are not on drugs or in prostitution, they don't have a Santa. You have to be the Santa. You have to buy the gifts. You have to bring them to our organization. You have to sit with us while we wrap the gifts, help us allocate the gifts. You are the Santa. And so if you are the Santa, you should get the reward of gratitude. Parents, I feel for all of the parents who have bent over backwards, sacrificed greatly, maxed out credit card after credit card every Christmas to do something nice for their kids. And the kids thank Santa. Maybe if we didn't perpetuate this lie, parents would get more thanks because they deserve more thanks. All of the people that make Christmas happen deserve more thanks. And the thing is, we don't need the Santa. We don't need it. It's not necessary for the holiday season, not even for kids. It was never necessary. It's always a complication as far as I'm concerned. You ask, what would Christmas be without Santa? Well, it would be better. It would be so much better for everyone. Think about Easter, another religious holiday, even more religious than Christmas. So what's the first image that comes to mind with Easter? The bunny. No one believes in the Easter bunny. There is no social, cultural pressure to get kids to believe in the Easter bunny. No one believes that rabbits lay colorful eggs. We're not trying to get kids to believe that. The bunny is just a mascot. It's just a mascot for Easter, and it's a fun little mascot that has nothing to do with anything. And you know what? Kids have all kinds of fun with Easter. They know how the colorful eggs happened. They helped paint them. They painted them with their mothers and fathers. They did it as a family tradition. They did it in school. They loved it. It's fun to paint the eggs, right? You don't have to tell some kind of fantastical story about how this Easter bunny hopped around and he just laid eggs every time he hopped, and every now and then he laid some eggs, and he rewards little good kids who go and find the eggs. That we don't have to do that. It's totally unnecessary. We don't need anything for Thanksgiving to be fun. All right. That we don't have to tell that story. We don't have to make up things for Halloween to be fun. I mean, we can enjoy dressing up as ghouls or angels or Barbie or whatever the crap you dress up as. There's no mythos that you have to believe to enjoy any of these holidays. But Christmas, boy, that just complicates the hell out of everything with this Santa guy. You don't need him. The kids don't need him. The world doesn't need him. We don't need another thing to be forced to believe in and then be disappointed in later. It's not necessary. We don't need to believe that presents come from the North Pole. Kids would be so much better off knowing and understanding fully that presents come from your parents. They work hard to get them. And here we're going to shop together. You want this? You want this toy? Okay, maybe I'll get that. You want these 3 toys? Okay, I'll get you 2 of them. You might get 2. You'll be surprised. You think the kids will be any less excited about opening up their presents without a Santa myth? Of course they won't. They're going to love it all the same. It's not necessary. Kids do not have to worry about, oh, I'm not going to get a present if I was bad. Because you know what? A lot of kids are just bad kids. Their behavior is not great. It's suboptimal. You still get a present because you love your kids. You don't need this mythos about, well, if you're bad, you're not going to get presents. Santa's not going to shut up. That's a stupid complication that doesn't need to happen. There's no part of the Santa story that is necessary for anything in our society. And Christmas would be a whole lot better without him. A whole lot less confusing. It's just unnecessary. I'm the Santa. Spoiler alert. I am the Santa. If you consider this podcast a present, you didn't get it from the North Pole, fool. I'm not going there. It's cold. I'm in Jackson, Mississippi. I'm the Santa. You got a nice piece of jewelry? Hey, your husband bought it for you. He's the Santa. Your kids got some nice presents. Wake up. You're not Santa's helper. You're the Santa. I don't know why I keep saying the Santa as if it's the Batman. I might change the title of this by the time I put it up there. Why I hate the Santa. I think that's going to happen. You're the Santa. In every good thing that happens at Christmas, there are a lot of good things that happen at Christmas. That's on you. If you want your neighborhood to have a little bit more cheer, a little bit more Christmas cheer, you're going to get the ladder out and you're going to string the lights around your house or wherever you can string some lights because you are the Christmas cheer. That's you. By the way, I'm not stringing any lights. That's not happening. There are lots of lights strung in my community. They don't need mine. Not getting up on a ladder. It's not going to happen. You're the Santa, though. All of the good things. That's you. That's your neighbor. That's your church. That's your local charity. That's your kids doing nice for other kids. We are the Santa. And we don't need any other kind. All right. That's what I think. What do you think? You know what to do. skepticsandseekers.squarespace.com. Log in your Discuss account and discuss away. Send me an email, skepticsandseekers@gmail.com. Until next time, I will see you in the comments. In the meantime, you are the Santa. I'm out.